I would say names are among one of the most important social constructs that we have, next to time. Like, imagine not being able to identify things. Imagine if nothing had a name. Like, the world would be chaos. It would be so difficult to function if nothing had a name. Names kind of bring life to things. And in its most simple, rudimentary definition, a name is an utterance or a group of syllables or symbols or written speech. It's a representation of a person, a place, a thing. It's literally like the sound that we make to get someone else's attention, or to refer to something else, or someone else, or a concept, or an idea. It's really interesting. Thinking about it more abstractly, it is a representation of a being, an entire being, of a place, of a concept. It is so very important to name things. I can't even think of a single thing that I know of that doesn't have some type of name. And that's because things that don't have names don't exist. I think for a lot of trans people that names are really super important. Like, that's a huge part of the transition. For people who are trans that decide to forsake their birth name or their assigned name, their assigned name becomes a dead name. It's literally a name that is no longer used. So don't dead name people. If they have decided not to use their birth name or their government name or whatever name, just don't dead name them. Be a nice person. My name it's a very important part of my identity. And I go by really all names that I've ever been known by. My birth name, or the name I was assigned at birth, is also my government name because I haven't legally changed my name. And I find that the people that I'm closest to refer to me by my birth name, and that doesn't really bother me all that much because I identify very closely with my birth name. I think of transitioning a little bit differently than some other trans and non-binary people. I call it transitioning because that is definitely the best word to describe it, because I'm going from one place to another. But I see my transition, the entire progression of my becoming me, my identity, as completely fluid. And so at one point I identified best with female, with girl, with woman. As I got older, I moved away from that. But that doesn't make the identity that I had being a woman any less valid. So on the internet, I am known as Finn. And Finn is just a shortening of muffin because I bake a shit ton. And that is why the F is lowercase and there's only one N. My name in real life is AJ. And I find that AJ is the best suited name for me. And I really enjoy going by AJ. But I also go by my birth name, which is Angelica. And it's a really pretty name. People tend to like Angelica more than AJ, but I definitely like AJ more. But I wouldn't have AJ without Angelica. Not only because AJ literally stands for Angelica Jade, but because Angelica is a very important part of my identity. And she is an important part of my progression into becoming me. And so I am absolutely okay with people using Angelica, with people using she pronouns. I rather they didn't, but it doesn't bother me. I'm super ambivalent to it. At one point, she pronouns and Angelica were things that caused dysphoria. But as I thought more about it, it became less and less of an issue to me, because Angelica is definitely a part of my identity. At this point, it's more of a nickname than anything. And I realize that that is an interesting sentiment for a person who is non-binary or in the trans community. A lot of trans people, they are made supremely dysphoric when their dead name is used. And so I understand that is a sentiment that is different than some people. And so in the future, when referring to people who are trans, use their name. Use the name that they give you to call them. Don't use their dead name. And pronouns are an extension of identity. They're an extension of that person. And so respecting both their name and their pronouns, it's just a really, really, really good idea if you want to present yourself as a person who cares. But yeah, respect pronouns, respect names, because they're both very, very important to people, not only on an emotional level, but on a social level. Yeah, I think that's it for me today. Peace.